Hey, what's going on, everybody? Guess what week it is? That's right. It's Super Bowl 58 week everywhere across the country, all over the world. The biggest event in sports. I don't know if that's actually true, but
I think it is.
it's
No,
pretty big.
there are other
There's
sports
big
that are very
soccer stuff.
popular.
It's your friendly neighborhood fantasy football analyst, Fabs here, and the handsome and debonair, the legendary king, Robert Harris here. Bob, we've got a big game to analyze from many different angles right here on the Believe Fantasy Football Show, which, of course, is presented by Bet Online. And before we get into the X's and O's and the player props and all that fun stuff, because you all know you're going to be doing it, let's talk about Bet Online, because it is, in fact, playoff time, and the usual suspects are heading to Vegas for the championship. And our partners over at Bet Online, that's your number one source for football odds, stats, trends, and lines, with everything from point spreads to hundreds of bets and on everything from the coin toss to the color of the Gatorade to the shade of underwear Bob Harris will be wearing for the game. Okay, they don't have that. But Bet Online is the number one source for your championship wagering. Head to Bet Online and join today to get in on all the action. Bet Online, the game starts here. And the game starts right now. But first, a little housekeeping to do. One interesting headline for the week, Bob, that has, to me, major fantasy implications before we get into Chiefs 49ers is the Chargers hiring Greg Roman as their offensive coordinator. I mean, if you know football and you know Harbaugh, you knew this was coming. I don't love the fit because Greg Roman has been a running sort of offensive guy. He has had Lamar Jackson. He has had Tyrod. He has had Colin Kaepernick, all running quarterbacks. Justin Herbert, not a running quarterback. And he has been a heavy run coordinator. I don't even know who the Chargers running back is, to be quite honest with you. I actually spent some time with Austin Eckler over the weekend in Vegas. And hell, I mean, he doesn't know what's going on with the Chargers. If he comes back or not, we're not sure. But your thoughts on Greg Roman taking over that job, Bob? It just seems like an odd fit.
Well, I don't want to say an odd fit. I mean, it's, you mentioned it. It's kind of almost expected. The Harbaughs and Greg Roman go together. And Greg Roman was with Jim Harbaugh during their time together in San Francisco, and they were run heavy. And, I mean, you're kind of expecting that. But at some point, maybe you have to take a step back and think, what is the focal point of this offense really going to be? Maybe they are smart enough to realize that the passing game is going to have to be a bigger component than it has in their past offenses. They do have a passing game coordinator as well. So, that's kind of the current phrase is. And also, I wouldn't totally dismiss Justin Herbert as being not capable of running. He's more than capable of running.
Well, but they're not ideal. I mean, they're not going to design runs for him. He's not going to be running RPOs, so it's not like Lamar.
Probably not. But I mean, I think, sitting here as we sit here right now, yes, it's not ideal. Am I open-minded to the possibility that Jim Harbaugh wants to win football games and that the comments he made upon being hired, that Justin Herbert is his ticket to get there, that's not lost on him? No, I'm going to give him a moment of grace and assume that. Am I in early mock drafts, which I am taking part in? I'm up to about 5 so far. Am I out there making a mad rush to get Justin Herbert on my roster? No, I'm not. It's a little wait and see for me on this.
Just remember that Greg Roman was the OC in Baltimore, and they decided to let him go because why? They wanted to get a guy in there who's going to incorporate the pass a little bit more in Greg and Todd Monken. So I'm not surprised.
So he couldn't have learned from that. I mean, I'm just saying, clearly they realized the best player on their roster, the one they're most committed to financially as well over the long term, is their quarterback. I mean, I realized that was the case with Lamar Jackson as well. And we saw, I mean, so I'm just going to give them a moment to figure this out and maybe come up with some good ideas to make the best use of Justin Herbert's arm talent.
Whoever the Chargers running back is, though, I am going to be targeting that player in drafts
for sure.
Committee. And then in that case, maybe not. All right, let's get to Super Bowl 58. The injury report is, I mean, there's not much, folks. Jerick McKinnon, unlikely to come back from the hernia. Sky Moore was taken off of injured reserve. Kadarius Toney is not on the injury report. I don't even know if he's going to be a part of that offense. Who the hell knows? And George Kittle's got a toe. Some people would say he has 10. I've used that joke before. Yes, I know. It's still funny. but he should be fine going in. Bob Harris, before we get into the Super Bowl props and the trends that I have unearthed, give me your breakdown on each of these teams from a fantasy perspective. There are people out there who are in postseason leagues. Now, if you're in a one and done, I mean, like, it's whittled down to like nothing at this point, right? Depending on your strategy. But what are your thoughts on both of these offenses facing the respective defenses on the other side? Who do you think is going to have the best fantasy day and who might disappoint?
I feel like it's really, the choices are pretty chalky here. I would expect Brock Purdy to maybe outproduce, but that does not mean, outperform necessarily Patrick Mahomes, who may show up in a big game at the most fortuitous times. But just given the weapons of the passing attack, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, I don't want to be dismissive of him, but the coverages, the two high safeties, open things up. That's kind of where Deebo feasts. So I'm expecting a focus on him. Also, wouldn't be surprised, we've seen, when it matters most, when games are on the line, Brock Purdy willing to take off and run and do it fairly effectively, mostly because it's not expected probably. Chiefs built to stop the pass and rush the passer. So plenty of room there for Christian McCaffrey to excel in this one. On the other side of the ball, play it straight, kids. Isaiah Pacheco, really solid play. The 49ers have been susceptible, although like they know they've been called out for their effort. They've called themselves out for their effort against the run and on some of the defensive plays. So I would expect a little more intensity and focus from the 49ers defense. But Travis Kelce obviously leading the way among all the receiving assets in this game. To me, Rashee Rice, probably the best wide receiver option standalone, just because he's the only option in San Francisco, or in Kansas City. And then there's like a Gordian knot of guys. Like, look, it's a one-game slate. Everyone's fair game. You're going to need to make a dart toss on this one. There's a Gordian.
Right. I'm one of those Chiefs wide receivers, really.
Right. There's a Gordian knot of Chiefs wide receivers, any of whom, assuming they're active, could end up being that touchdown guy. That would include Kadarius Toney, people. This just seems like the kind of game where he would randomly show up at after a tumultuous week. I think he said opened the team his first press conference by saying he's a wide receiver one in some world, right? I guess so, but
not this one.
You're taking your chances on any of those guys. But like if you're playing in some kind of DFS tournament and you need some kind of outlier play, everybody there is fair game, right? Whether it's Tony, Mecole Hardman, was only on the field for one snap last game after hitting that, having that crucial fumble, didn't actually cost him game in Buffalo. We could see Sky Moore back, as you mentioned, and available. I mean, Justin Watson. I mean, Noah Gray is in the mix there as well. All those guys are seeing some targets, and the Chiefs are playing a lot of two tight end sets as they've gone into the postseason. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, the piece I haven't mentioned, who seems like the most likely, had a little momentum, has gotten a little run in the postseason. So there are plenty of pieces here to mine from. Look on the other side if you're looking for outliers as well. Third and Juan Jennings is the guy that everyone has been looking at who's getting some run. But when Deebo's on the field, his playing time, his snaps diminish greatly. So I'm probably not digging that deep on that side.
Right. I had to look up Gordian knot. A Gordian knot is an ancient Greek legend associated with Alexander the Great in Gordium in Phrygia regarding a complex knot that is tied an ox cart. What? What the hell? Where do you even get this crap from, Harris?
It's a knot that's hard to untie.
You're crazy, man. All right, let's get into the props. You and your Gordian Knights. Anyways, knots, whatever the hell it is. Knights, not, I don't care.
No, 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Maybe I will. Maybe I will. All right, so I pulled some player props. Now the numbers are different, where you look, maybe by a yard or two. So I'll give a ballpark. Mahomes, passing yards, 260.5. He has surpassed this total 9 times in 19 games. That's 47%. But he's missed it in 4 of his last 5. And in those 5 games, Bob Harris, he's averaged 239.6 yards through the air. The one game that he did surpass 260.5, he had 262. So it wasn't that far from being a miss. The Niners have allowed 261 or more passing yards 7 times. In their last 6 games, quarterbacks have hit it once, and that was Jared Goff in the NFC Championship game. I'm going to go under on the passing yard prop, Bob. What about you?
260 is my number.
You going to go under that or over it?
I'm gonna say dead on that. I'm not betting this one.
So he's going to hit right at 260.
260 is my projection, right? I mean, that's like dead on. Like if I don't bet the under, so I would bet the over here if I was going to bet it, but I probably wouldn't bet it because it's that close.
Okay. Next up, Mahomes passing touchdowns at 1.5. He has surpassed this total 53% of his games, and I'm talking about every game, like playoffs and regular season. But he's missed it in 6 of his last 8. In the 2 games where he did throw for more than 1.5, he had 2. And he only had 2 games where he had more than 2 touchdown passes, which is crazy. It's flipping Patrick Mahomes. But it wasn't really this year statistically. The 49ers have allowed 2 or more touchdown passes 7 times. In the last 5 games, though, quarterbacks have thrown multiple touchdowns 3 times. But one of those games was in Week 18 when it was a meaningless game against the Rams, and Carson Wentz had a couple of touchdown passes against them. So, Bob, I would go under the 1.5 for Mahomes. What say you?
I have it 1.8. I'm taking the over.
How do you throw an 1/8 of a touchdown, by the way?
It's not easy.
Yeah, that's one of those Gordian knot
I'm
things.
taking it. I'm going to go with I'm going to go with 2 there. The projections, you're using an algorithmic model to create them, and it doesn't know that you can only throw even numbers.
83-year-old men who analyze fantasy football do not use algorithms and such, or maybe they do. I don't know. I guess
it happens.
He's not really 83, only 73. All right, Mahomes rushing yards, 26.5. He has surpassed his totals 9 times in 19 games, 47%, but he's missed it in 5 of his last 7. In that time, he's averaging 19 yards on the ground. The Niners have allowed at least 27 rushing yards to quarterbacks only 5 times this year. In their last 6 games, though, quarterbacks have hit that mark 3 times. But once again, one of those games was against Carson Wentz, who had 17 carries, which was a crazy-ass game. And then some of the other teams they played, Cardinals, Kyler Murray, Ravens, Lamar Jackson. So do you see him going over or under this, Bob? I'm going to say under.
If I was betting the under, I would take the under. I'm not going to bet the over.
Why do you not like the under? What's wrong with the under?
Because it's a limiting factor. I want the unlimited options where they can have as many as they want.
All right. Brock Purdy. Passing yard prop is at 246.5. He has hit this mark 67% of the time in his games. In those games, in the last 7, he's hit it 5 times and averaged 275 per. Pretty good. But the Chiefs, Bob Harris, have allowed 247 or more passing yards just 7 times. In their last 7 games, quarterbacks have hit that mark twice. And one of them was Easton Stick. And that went for 258 in a meaningless game back in Week 18. I say Purdy's going under. What do you think?
I'm saying over. A lot of run after the catch ability. The Chiefs are a tough pass defense. I will grant you that. But I think once he gets the ball in the hands of his playmakers, and all those guys are great at yards after the catch, and notably McCaffrey, Kittle, Debo, all more than capable. I'm gonna put it on their shoulders and take the over on that one.
All right, Brock Purdy passing touchdowns 1.5. He has hit this 50% of his games, but he has missed it in 4 of his last 5. And the game that he did hit it was against the Commanders. And if you remember the Commanders' pass defense,
Not
much
good.
like Swiss cheese, lots of holes. The Chiefs have allowed multiple touchdown passes to quarterbacks 4 times. That's it. And no quarterback has thrown for more than 1 touchdown pass against them in their last 8 games. Bob Harris. Brock Purdy.
Reverses that trend.
1.5.
He reverses that trend. I'm going to take the over on
Wow. Bob Harris. All right. Okay. Listen, hey, I'm just spouting out the numbers, man. You guys
I have it. The secret Bob Harris / football guys algorithm has it at 1.6.
Secret?
Yeah,
I want to know about it. I want to know. Is that like the, Kentucky Fried Chicken, the how many herbs and spices they got?
Many herbs and spices going to that.
All right, chicken man. Let's go to the running backs. We'll go to Christian McCaffrey. I've got him at 90.5 rushing yards. He has rushed for at least 91 yards in 10 of 18 games, 56%. But he also rushed for at least 85 yards in 2 other games. And remember that he didn't play in a lot of that game against the Commanders, so we got to kind of throw that one out. In his last 8 games, Bob Harris, where he has seen at least 43 offensive snaps, Christian McCaffrey has rushed for at least 91 yards 7 times. That's 88%. Now the Chiefs defense, I think you can run on them. I'm going to take the over on Christian McCaffrey's rushing prop.
You're going to be hard pressed to find me taking any of the unders on Christian McCaffrey. It's going to be the all overs, and definitely on the rushing. I have him pegged right around 100 yards.
All right. Receiving yards, 33.5. He has put up at least 34 receiving yards 8 times in 18 games. That's 44%. But he has hit that mark only once in his last 4 games and only twice in his last 6. But again, he missed part of that Commanders game with an injury. The Chiefs have allowed a running back to finish with at least 34 receiving yards only 3 times. Those backs, James Cook, Austin Eckler, and Justice Hill. 2 of those runners had at least 34 receiving yards in the last 4 games, though. So what are we thinking about McCaffrey? You're going over, I assume.
I'm going to go ahead and take the over. I'm disagreeing with the algorithm a little bit. It likes 32 yards. I'm liking the over on all the McCaffrey numbers.
All right. Anytime touchdown. I mean, it depends on what book you're looking at, but it's going to be juiced, right? I mean, it's going to be, you're going to have to pay out the nose if you lose. McCaffrey has scored 25 touchdowns in 18 games. He has failed to score a touchdown just 3 times all year, right? One of those games, again, was against the Commanders when he only played 38 snaps. The Chiefs have allowed a touchdown to a running back just 10 times, and just 1 is scored against them in their last 6 games. That's Joe Mixon in Week 17. Will you suffer the wrath of the juice and still take an anytime touchdown from Christian McCaffrey?
I will if you make me. Yes, if like I said,
I won't make you do anything, but
I'm all in on McCaffrey. If there was one prop that I'd avoid, it'd probably be this one for all the reasons outlined. And touchdowns can be tricky. I would still probably bet this without.
All right, let's go to Isaiah Pacheco, who I kind of became very much a fan of this season. His rushing yardage total is 65.5. He has rushed for at least 67 yards in 8 of 17 games, 47%, but he's also rushed for at least 62 in 3 others. And he has hit that mark of 67 in 4 straight games, during which time he has averaged 96 rushing yards per. Pretty good.
Yep.
The Niners have allowed at least 66 rushing yards to running backs only 5 times, but 1 beat them for 64, which is close enough. Also, their defense has allowed an average of 62 rushing yards to running backs who have faced them this season, who have received at least 10 attempts. I'm going over on Pacheco.
I am as well.
All right. Receiving.
I mean, by the way,
yes,
you say you're being a big fan. I'm looking at these early mock drafts I'm in. Look for him to be a top 10 running back next
second
year.
Or third round, right?
Second round. Mostly seen him go in the second round. I think he slipped into 3rd and 1.
All right. Receiving yards, 16.5. He has posted at least 17 in only 35% of his games, and he has missed that mark in 3 straight games in 5 of his last 6. The Niners have allowed a runner to finish with at least 17 rushing yards 17 times. That's a lot.
Receiving.
Receiving yards. In all, their defense has given up the 8th most receiving yards per game to running backs. So while Pacheco has not done it lately, the Niners have been somewhat generous to pass catching backs. So I'm guessing you're going to go over here.
If I was going to bet this, I would bet the over. I might just avoid this one, though.
Anytime touchdown at -175, at least at the book that I looked at. 12 touchdowns in 17 games. He has scored at least 1 touchdown in each of his last 7 straight, Bob Harris, scoring 8 touchdowns total. He has been Christian McCaffrey Jr.
He has been.
Are we going to take that at -175?
I would probably take that one. I mean, I do think he's going to score. That one's pretty close. That -175 isn't great.
I kind of stumped Bob Harris there. He's like, I don't know if I want to do this. Do I want to do this? I'm not sure if I want to do this. You don't have to do it. I'm just saying. Let's move on to the wide receivers. Some fun stuff here. So I pulled some numbers for Rashee Rice, Debo, and Brandon Ayuk, because those are the 3 guys that we're going to be wagering on, right? Rashee Rice's catches prop is 6.5. Now, he's only hit this total 32% of his games this year, and he's hit that mark in just 2 of his last 5 games. But in those 5 games, he's averaged 6.2 catches. That's because in 2 games, he went crazy. He had huge numbers. The Niners have allowed 7 or more receptions to wide receivers 10 times. And in the 20 instances where a wide receiver has at least 7 targets, that player has only had 7 catches 50% of the time. I think I'm going under here on Rashee Rice. It may not be a popular opinion, though, Bob.
So 6.5 is slightly under. My projection is 6.7. So I'm going to take the over.
All right. You and your projections. Wow, you're Mr. Math all of a sudden over here. All right. Receiving yards, 66.5. He has hit this total 32% of the time. If he did it 32 times, I'd be definitely going the over. But 32% of the time, which is not great. He has hit that mark just twice in his last 5 games. The 49ers have allowed opposing wide receivers to beat them for 67 yards or more 15 times. But since week 15, only 3 have hit that mark. So you're looking at ballpark like 1 per game. The most yards a receiver has had, though, against them in that time is Amon-Ra St. Brown at 87. Do you think Rashee goes over this total, Bob?
I think he goes over. I have him right at 72 yards. I think that's pretty reasonable in this one. And so make it 4 for over.
Anytime touchdown is even money. He has scored a touchdown in 42% of his games, but he's scored just once in his last 5 and just 3 times in his last 8 games, Bob. Your thoughts?
I'm not going to bank on the touchdown.
All right.
Going to back off that one.
All right, let's go to the Niners wideouts. We'll start with Brandon Ayuk. 4.5 catches. Like, that seems really doable. Really doable. But listen to this. He has posted at least 5 catches in 50% of his games, but he's failed to hit that mark in 3 straight games in 4 of 6. Okay? But one of those games was week 18. He only played 23 snaps. So I think we throw that one out of there. The Chiefs have allowed 5 or more catches to wide receivers 16 times. In the 43 instances where a wide receiver has had at least 5 targets, a player has hit the 5-catch mark just 37% of the time. What do we think, Bob?
What are your odds on this one?
4.5.
4.5. I've seen this at plus 120. I'd take that.
Okay. Interesting.
I'd take that. I'm projected at 4.8.
Yeah, I could see that. Receiving yards, 61.5. He has surpassed 61.5 in 50% of his games. He's hit that mark just twice in his last 5, though in those 5 games, he's averaged 81.4 yards because he had 2 really big games. The Chiefs have allowed wide receivers to beat them for 67 or more yards 10 times. That's it. And since week 14, only 2 have hit the mark. But Zay Flowers did it in the AFC Championship game at 115. Bob Harris, thoughts?
His ADOT in the postseason is 13.5 yards. I'm going to go ahead and take the over on this one.
His ADOT.
Average depth of target, kids.
ADOT. Get into that ADOT, baby. All right. He is, let's see, even money to score. No, he's plus money, 120 to score a TD. Thoughts on Brandon Ayuk getting into the end zone, Bob Harris?
I'm a sucker for plus money. Even if I don't think he's going to get it
for something.
Even if I'm probably not taking that bet, even though I'm a sucker for it. Probably not taking it.
All right, now let's get to Debo, who everyone thought he was hurt and was going to miss the NFC Championship game, and I think he ended up doing pretty well statistically in that contest. So let's get to the totals for Debo Samuel, who could play a pretty big role in this game. Receptions prop is 4.5, Bob. He has had at least 5 catches 41% of the time, but he's failed to hit that mark in 4 of his last 6. In 2 of those games, though, he was limited to 20 or fewer snaps because he was either injured or they were resting him. In the 9 games where Debo has played at least 50 snaps, he has had 5 catches 6 times. So that's a pretty good percentage. The Chiefs, once again, 5 or more catches to opposing wide receivers 16 times for the year. Bob Harris, thoughts on Samuel and the receptions prop?
I like the over. I think he should be the top receiving asset here. It's the too high safety look that he is what he fares well against. He should see that a fair amount of the time this weekend. All
right. Next up, we'll go to the receiving yards prop for Debo Samuel. 58.5. Very achievable. Samuel has only hit this mark in 41% of his games and just once in his last 6. But he's gone over 58.5 receiving yards in 5 of 9 games where he's played at least 50 snaps. So, I mean, really, if Debo's going to play a full complement, based on the percentages, he's got a better than 50% chance to hit the mark. Bob, what do you think?
I give him a better than 50% chance. I'm taking that.
Okay.
The over.
His anytime touchdown is at plus 110.
Yes, please.
You love it, man.
I'm in.
You love it. All right. Let's go to the two tight ends. Kelsey, who apparently may be getting engaged after this game. I don't know. Probably
I'm not taking that bet.
It's so stupid. Really? Like, people are just... Is there an offshore that's really offering that?
There are many places offering that.
That to me, that's the biggest win in the history of wins. Like, that. What's the juice on it? It's got to be crazy.
It is. It's ridiculous.
It's got to be. All right. So his receptions prop is 6.5. Now he has posted at least 7 catches in 39% of his games this year. That's it. But he has hit it in 2 of the 3 postseason games. In the 10 games where Kelsey has had at least 50 snaps, he has had 7+ catches only 4 times, Bob. 40% of his games. The 49ers have allowed 7 or more catches to tight ends just twice all year, including the playoffs. But here's a little interesting side note. Kelsey averages 8.2 targets per game. The 49ers faced just 3 tight ends who had 8 or more targets all year long, but those tight ends combined for 27 catches. So if you do the math, Bob, 3 into 27, pretty good. It's close. What do you think?
I think I'm probably not going to take this one. I would prefer to take the over. So if I was really dead set on betting this, I would bet the over. I haven't projected at 6.7 catches.
The receiving prop is 70.5. 44% of the time, Kelsey has hit that mark. But he has gone 3 straight where he's hit that mark. And in that time, he's averaged 87.3 yards. But in the 15 games before that, Bob Harris, 65.6 yards. So pretty close. The Niners have allowed tight ends to beat them for more than 71 or more yards 3 times, and just 2 have had more than 56 against them since week 8. But this is Kelsey. Among the 4 tight ends who have had at least 8 targets against them, that was Trey McBride, TJ Hawkinson, Sam Laporta, also in that mix. Those 3 out of 4 finished with at least 86 receiving yards. My assumption is that you're going over here.
I am going over here. I think that's an easy number too.
Anytime touchdown at minus 150. Any interest in that?
I'll take that.
All right. George Kittle. His props are low, bro. See that? I'm a poet and didn't know it. 3.5 catches. He has posted at least 4 in 39% of his games, and he's failed to hit that mark in 5 of his last 8. The Chiefs have allowed 4 more catches at tight ends 8 times. Kittle has averaged 5.6 targets per game for the entirety of the year. Among the 10 tight ends that the Chiefs have faced who have had 5 or more targets, half of them would beat the total. So what are your thoughts here with George Kittle?
I've got him pegged for about 4 catches, 60 yards. So I'm good. I think those are pretty solid numbers for him.
Okay. 47.5 receiving yards. He has actually hit this mark 61% of the time. Pretty good. You like this over?
I do Kittle? Like this over.
He's at plus money for a touchdown, also plus 120. He's only scored a touchdown in 28% of his games. Because
probably not.
3 of his touchdowns came in 1 game.
Not enthusiastic about this one, but I do like the odds here.
So would you say that you're curbing your enthusiasm?
It's like a reference to a show I don't watch. I don't know. I will tell you this.
Why are you crazy? Why don't you watch that show? It's so good.
Because I'm a busy man. I don't have time to watch every damn show on the television.
All day long. What are you talking about? All right.
You just watch every damn thing. Like you even watch Seinfeld. I'm told that's not a very good show. You probably watch Friends too. Travis Kelce.
I did not watch Friends. I did not watch Friends. Seinfeld, yes.
Liar. Travis Kelce proposes to Taylor Swift. Yes, plus 1060. No, minus 3,000.
I told you it was juice. That's insane, man. All right. Let's get to some of the crazy novelty props that, the kids like to do.
I think I just did the craziest one.
That is a crazy. Would you be willing to throw $100 down on a no? No. For 3,000?
No.
That's insane.
I have no interest. I have no interest in the.
That's cheesy. You ain't gonna do that. Come on now. All right. So let's have some fun here with with some of the props. The novelty props, all right? So, the national anthem going over or under 90.5 seconds. Now, I will say this. Jen Piacenti, who is an amazing fantasy football analyst, fantasy baseball analyst, and prop queen. She is the prop princess, actually, but I think she's the queen. Somebody else already has that name. She also is a professional singer. Like, she sings opera. Like, she's flipping awesome. And Jen is so crazy good at what she does. Notice the pause there. That she sang the national anthem at her pace. And this year it is Reba McEntire, who is 68 years old. Not as old as Bob, but, you know, getting up there. And Jen says it's going under based on her, I don't know, the number of minutes that it took her to do it. Bob Harris.
Us old people got no time for this nonsense. It's going under.
What do you think?
Under.
No?
Yeah, I'm taking the under.
Okay. So
I mean, if I was betting on these things, I think it's going to be less than 90 seconds. I'm with Jen, and like I said, old people don't have time to mess around. We got things to do. She's going to take care of her business.
Since 2008, this has been recorded, which is insane. Can you believe, Bob? There was actually a push. Kelly Clarkson was a push.
I would like to see her betting slips, please.
2 of the last 3 have gone under. Have gone over, but 2 of the last 4 have gone under. So whatever. I know. All right, ready? Next up, Usher halftime show. Over under total songs. I know who he is. I couldn't name one song he's ever done. I'm sorry. I don't care. Sorry, not sorry. The over is 8.5. The under is the under is at 110, minus 110. The over is at minus 130. Bob, let's say this. In the last 6 Super Bowls, total songs: Justin Timberlake 11, Maroon 5 9, Shakira and Jennifer Lopez. Remember, they did like a whole strip thing there. 17. The Weeknd, which apparently is not Saturday and Sunday. It's this guy. 9. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar. By the way, all favorites of Bob Harris. 11 songs, and Rihanna did 15. And the over-under.
Got to take the over here, right? I mean,
I don't know.
You have to take the over.
I don't
like the NFL is not rigged, but I wonder if some of this isn't open to some collusive nature. I don't know. It's just like, you know, it seems like it's a narrow band of people in control of these things.
Yeah. All right. The Gatorade bath. Now think about this.
This is random.
Think about this. You can totally fix any of this stuff, right? You can totally fix any of it. But, you know, I mean, what happens if a player on one of the teams tells one of his buddies, hey, guys, there's a lot of orange Gatorade over here, and I'm going to grab one and dump it on my coach? I don't know. It feels like it's easily fixed, whatever. Purple, Bob, which, by the way, is the best flavor of Gatorade, plus 275. That's your
I'm going to take
bet.
It is the best flavor. That's the only reason. And
it is.
Plus.
Clear or water is plus 1100.
Nobody likes that.
That's not good. All right. Next one. Well, here we go. I'll actually go through some of the recent Gatorade colors. Last year was purple, and it was the Chiefs. Do they stick with purple? Blue for the Rams, blue for the Bucks, orange for the Chiefs, orange for the Chiefs. But it was purple last year. Blue for the Patriots, yellow for the Eagles. And in Super Bowl 51, the Patriots did not shower Bill Belichick with anything, because my guess is that he'd be really pissed if you did that. But anyways, it has not been clear or water since Super Bowl 42. Giants. This information is just insane, but whatever. It is what it is. Some of the other novelty props that you could do. I can't speak English, apparently. The coin toss. Both teams at minus 110. Tails has a slight edge, coming up 30 times in 57 previous Super Bowls, so keep that in mind. Will any scoring drive be shorter than the national anthem, Bob Harris? This one is pretty easy, right? It takes about 1:30 to get through the national anthem. So
it's entirely possible. What's the numbers there?
Minus 180 for a yes, plus 135 for a no.
I might do this one. I might take the less than 130.
All right, there you go.
If you're thinking this is going to be a close game, somebody's going to win it on the final drive. That number is good.
All right. The first commercial to play, BMW or Coors Light? Why is it BMW? Like what? Why isn't it like Budweiser or something? I don't know.
I neither drink nor drive, so I'm probably going to recuse myself from this question.
Yes, BMW is a slight favorite at -110. Will a player record an octopus? That does not mean throwing one onto the field. This is not hockey. That means scores a touchdown and then converts on the 2-point conversion after that. Bob, a yes is plus 1,200. A no is minus 1,400.
I have $1.
So you'll say yes.
Yes, but I don't think it's going to happen. But I have
some would say you have more than $1.
Maybe.
Bob Harris, a wealthy man. All right. The jersey of the first touchdown scorer. Will the jersey number of the player who scores the first touchdown be over or under 22.5? So if you think it's going to be Kelsey or Kittle or McCaffrey, you're going over.
I'll take the over.
If you're thinking it's Rice, Debo, Ayuk, or Brock Purdy or Mahomes, now Brock Purdy or Mahomes would have to run one in or catch one, which would be strange. Then you'll want the under. So you're going the over?
I'll take the over.
-115. There you go. All right. How many times will Taylor Swift be shown on TV? The over is 4.5 at -175. The under is at +130.
I'll take the under. I feel like 3 is enough.
All right. This one here. Well, you mentioned the proposal prop. I've got it at +210 to say yes, -190 to say no. I don't know. That's freaking weird. I love this one. I will say this before we get we do our predictions and get off the pod. Usher's first song at halftime. I don't know any of these songs. My Way, OMG, yeah. DJ Got Us Falling in Love, Loving This Club, You Got It Bad, You Remind Me, Burn, Confessions Part 2. Where's Confessions Part 1? You Make Me Wanna. My Way is the favorite at +100. Any thoughts?
Sure, I'll take that.
I don't know any of these songs. None. I have no clue. No idea. Anyways, I mean, guys, we're not here to give you novelty prop advice, but that's just fun stuff. There's nothing on Budweiser or Doritos or anything like that. Whatever. Anyways, the commercials have not been great the last few years, by the way, but it is what it is. So, Bob Harris, currently, the point spread for this contest, and it just went away because of a Gordian knot. It's the Chiefs +2. The Chiefs have been very profitable to wagerers when they have been underdogs when Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback. They're 8-4 against the spread when Taylor Swift is in attendance. Bob Harris, your thoughts? Who will win the game? Who are we wagering on?
I'll take the San Francisco -2, please. I have it 31-24.
The most popular money line bet is the Chiefs. And so I have bet against the Chiefs in every round so far. And I have been freaking wrong every round so far. What a stupid, the Ravens just choke like that.
I will say, so I picked San Francisco going into the playoffs. I picked them San Francisco against Baltimore. The Chiefs definitely have momentum on their side, and I totally feel not good about this, but I'm sticking with the Niners and have told myself a happy story. And if it totally collapses, I will not be surprised.
I am going Chiefs 24-21, something like that. I say it's the Chiefs win. They beat the 2 points. They obviously hit on the money line, and the under comes.
And Travis Kelce proposes to Taylor Swift on the field.
No, but there will be a kiss
while Usher sings.
Is there a prop on whether or not that kiss involves tongue?
No, there's not that.
I love this podcast. I love you, Bob Harris. And I love everybody out there who's listening to our nonsense. We hope that you have a little bit of fun along the way. Enjoy Super Bowl 58 from Sin City. By the way, what was the prop on a NFL player, current or former, being bitten by a coyote? Because that one apparently came up. Did you not hear about that?
I didn't hear about that.
apparently like an NFL player, like I think it's a former NFL player, got bit by a coyote at some park. If it looks like a big dog and it's got big nasty teeth, don't go pet the damn thing. All right. Anyways, thanks for listening to the Believe Fantasy Football Show presented by Bet Online. For the great Bob Harris, the legendary king, for our pal Toss, who's behind the virtual glass. I don't know where the hell he is. I think he may be in Las Vegas.
On Radio Row.
What's that?
He's on Radio Row right
He's
now.
on Radio Row with all the important people while
belong.
scrubs like us are sitting in our home studios. I am Fabs. We will talk to you guys next week when we start breaking down the rookies. That's right. After the Super Bowl, we start getting ready for 2024 with the incoming rookie class. Have a great weekend, all. Don't drink too much. And guacamole's gross. I'm not a big fan of guacamole, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of that enjoyed everywhere. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.